Your stories deserve to be saved. Let me ask you a question. How many stories do you know that nobody has ever written down? Maybe it's the story of how your parents met, the first car you bought, that summer job you absolutely hated, what Christmas was like when you were 8 years old. Or maybe it's a story your children have heard 100 times, but your grandchildren haven't heard at all. Here's the uncomfortable truth. If we don't write these stories down, eventually some of them disappear with us. And I don't know about you, but I've always thought about writing some of mine down. The problem is that sitting in front of a blank page and thinking, okay, write your life story is a pretty intimidating place to start. Well, something new from Claude may make that a whole lot easier. And the interesting part is that it works right inside Microsoft Word. Let me show you. If you're unfamiliar with Claude, it's an artificial intelligence assistant made by a company called Anthropic. It's similar in many ways to ChatGPT, and I've found it particularly good at working with longer pieces of writing. But recently, Claude became available as an add-in for Microsoft Word. That means you can have your Word document open on the screen just like you've been doing for years, and Claude can work with you right there. No copying paragraphs back and forth between websites. No juggling half a dozen windows. Word is still Word. You just have a pretty capable writing assistant sitting beside you. Now, here's where I think this becomes especially interesting for people our age. Don't start by asking Claude to write your autobiography. In fact, I don't recommend that at all. Claude didn't live your life. You did. Instead, try something like this. I'm 68 years old, and I'd like to begin preserving some of my life stories for my children and grandchildren. Don't write the stories for me. Act as a friendly interviewer. Ask me one question at a time to help me remember stories worth telling, and then just see where the conversation goes. Claude might ask, where did you grow up? What did your childhood home look like? Who was your best friend? What was your first job? Tell me about your grandparents. What did your family do on Sunday afternoons? And suddenly we're not writing a book, we're remembering it. That's a completely different experience. And here's another trick I really like. Don't necessarily begin at the beginning. You don't have to start with, I was born on August 14th, 1953, and then march through 70 years in chronological order. Start with a story you enjoy telling. Maybe it's, ask me questions about the summer I worked at my uncle's gas station in 1969. Now Claude becomes an interviewer. What did the place smell like? Who worked there? How much did gasoline cost? What did customers drive? What happened there that you still laugh about? Those little questions are important because they're often where the real story is hiding. We're remarkably good at remembering the big events, but memoirs become interesting because of the little things. The sound of your mother's screen door, your father's favorite expression, the restaurant where you took your future wife on your first date, the song playing on the radio. AI can help us remember to ask about those details. It cannot remember them for us, and that distinction is extremely important. And once you've told the story, Claude can help you shape it. For example, highlight what you've written in Word and say, clean this up for grammar and readability, but don't make it sound like a professional writer. Keep my wording, personality, humor, and Southern expressions wherever possible. I especially like that last part because if we're preserving our life story, I don't want Claude's voice. I want mine. Claude can also suggest a title and it can organize several stories into chapters. It can spot places where you've jumped over something interesting and say, essentially, wait a minute, tell me more about that. And if you don't like one of its changes, you don't have to accept it. Claude can work using Word's tracked changes feature so you can look at the suggestions and decide what stays and what goes. You're still the author. There is one rule I would consider absolutely non negotiable: never let AI invent a memory. If Claude adds a date you didn't provide, a person's name you don't recognize, or some wonderful little detail that sounds perfect but never actually happened, take it out. AI is very good with words. It is not a witness to your life, and that's really the right relationship here. Claude supplies the questions, you supply the memories, Claude helps organize them. You decide what's true, Claude can polish the sentences, you protect your voice. And don't feel like the goal has to be a 300-page autobiography. Maybe you create 20 stories. Christmas at grandma's house, my first car, The Day I Met Your Mother, My First Job, Things My Father Taught Me, Raising Children Before Cell Phones, Things I Wish I'd Known at 25. Put those together, add some family photographs, print 3 copies, and you've created something your family couldn't buy anywhere in the world. That's when AI stops being some strange futuristic technology. It becomes a tool for preserving something deeply human. So here's my challenge for you. Don't try to write your memoir this weekend. Just preserve one story, open Word, open Claude, and tell it, help me remember a story worth leaving behind. Then see what happens. Because the remarkable part isn't what Claude knows, it's what you know. Claude may simply help you get it onto the page before those stories are lost. And if you'd like, in another video, I'll actually sit down with Claude and Microsoft Word and show you step by step how to install it and create that very first story. If that sounds useful, let me know in the comments. And while you're there, tell me this. What's one story from your life that you would want your grandchildren to know? I'd genuinely love to hear it. Thanks for being here. Your support helps this channel grow and reach others. Comment, like, share, and subscribe. Every engagement helps with YouTube's algorithms. Stay curious, keep learning, and I'll see you next time.